guys, welcome on this new Coach Live Academy Live Guide. I'm Corentin Guinez, and today we are for week 2 at Indianapolis for the Falcon Sports Car Series, and we are with the Porsche 718 GT4. So as usual, first we're gonna go with the hot lap, and then I'm gonna go into more details about the car and the track. So yep, let's get started. Alright guys, here we go for the lap with the Porsche around Indianapolis. Here is T1 getting closer. So basically for this one, I'm gonna use like the both 50 and 400 boards. So that's pretty much what I'm using as a braking reference. And what I'm doing is that I'm gonna brake as soon as I'm going past the first one. So then basically when I'm getting, I would say when I feel that I'm just between those two, I'm gonna brake. Or you can also use only the 500-meter board to basically when you go past through this one, just go on the brakes. Basically just keeping a bit of a margin, like maybe 90% braking with the Porsche to like, yeah, I'm just saying that and then using all of the brakes. But when I'm getting at the beginning and when I'm getting close to the brake, like just in the middle, you can push a bit harder the brake. But I think it's better to keep a margin when you are at the beginning and at the end, because then you avoid the ABS. So that's pretty much what I'm doing with the Porsche. But yeah, most of the time when you can make this, just try to avoid the full ABS. Obviously, sometimes you cannot really keep the same amount of pressure, but yeah, most of the time when you can do it, just try to keep like maybe 5% on the brakes with the Porsche. That's for me, always felt better to keep a bit of a margin. But yeah, just keeping a bit of a margin, like I said, and then just going on the brakes, releasing the brakes to find rotation, dropping to second gear. I'm avoiding the curbing with this one. I don't know if it could be better with the AMG, for example, but with the Porsche and also with the M4, I think it's better to avoid the curbing because those two cars bounce a lot on the curbing when you go over, especially those kind of curbs. It's too much in my opinion for those two cars, so it's better to avoid them. But yeah, like I said, just going really close off the curbing. If I can find something better to show you, chase. So yeah, as you can see, just getting really close off the curbing. Then as you can see, I'm really early on power to find the rotation with the Porsche as well. That's the thing. It's You can maybe feel this a bit even better with the Porsche, like that going early on power gives you a lot of rotation. And as you can see, just trying to keep a bit of a margin. I'm not trying to stay really to go really close on the curbing. I'm just trying to keep a bit of a margin to really work on my exit for this one. So then as you can see, just putting a bit of brakes to find the rotation, slow down a bit the car as well. But then once again, early on power to find the rotation, all the way on the curbing, and then just trying to wait the exit to go fully on power and not make sure I avoid any kind of wheel spin. Then using the curbing on the exit, just trying to stick a bit with the curbing, but then I need to look at the outside. Need to go look a bit wider than just the um, the inside, and then I have to look at the curbing on the outside. Just basically as a braking reference, you can see that I'm gonna brake like near the end of the curbing. Actually, you cannot really see it if you are seeing a screen. Well, I'm not gonna lie, even on the triple, I'm not really looking at this because, like I said, you need to look at the outside actually. So yeah, I'm not really looking at this, but I don't know. Maybe by instinct, I can feel that I'm close to the end of the curbing because basically you looked a bit at it anyway. When at that point you can still see it. So even if you're not focusing at it, but in your vision you can still see the end of the curbing. Then as you can see, when I'm getting close of the end of this curbing, just going on the brakes, trying to aim a bit for this curbing, even if I'm not going all the way on this curbing. But that's why I told you to look at this because basically, even if you're not going at this curbing, um, pretty much sets the racing line for this. So basically, entry, you go on the inside, then you go wide, prepare the exit of this one on the brakes, just slightly on the brakes, not putting too much brakes because then if I run into the ABS, that's terrible for the straight because then you have a straight even if you have that kind of chicane. It's not really a chicane because it's flat actually. So yeah, basically having a good entry for this one, a nice exit, then basically sets pretty much your lap time because then you have the straight. So if you lose too much time on this corner, you're gonna be too low on the speed for the straight and then lose quite a lot of speed for maybe 1 kilometer or so. So then on the brakes, trying to find a rotation, trying to get this curbing on the inside, it gives you some extra grip, or actually it helps the car to stick the inside and to rotate the car as well. Early on power, when I feel that I'm good on the speed, just trying to get a bit of the curbing, and then need to open a bit steering to avoid any kind of wheel spin. Then we approach the chicane, so it's basically further out fourth gear just before, just going a bit on the grass, but not that much because then it can be on off track and it can upset a bit the car. But it just helps me to set a bit better the second part of the chicane, which is their big curbing. So actually, if I'm not on the if the car is not straight, like if I need to avoid the grass, I will put maybe more steering angle, and then I'm gonna go with a bit more steering angle to the right to basically get this one because if I'm a bit wider there, I'm not sure I can have the steering straight for the chicane. So then basically getting a bit of grass, then trying to have my wheel as straight as possible when I'm going through this one, even if you cannot get the wheel straight, but you know what I mean basically. Like there it's I'm saying that the wheel is straight, but well it's because I'm not putting a big amount of steering. But yeah, like I said, if I were a rider, I'm gonna have to put like more angle, sorry, obviously, because I need to basically not exit too wide as well the chicane because you have a lot of runoff on the exit, but it's not worth it to go that wide. But yeah, like I said, just try to keep the car as straight as possible. And then you have that long straight. Basically, just one thing about the chicane. I think I forgot to talk about track limits. Um, just one thing. I think you have to stay by looking at this right now. I think you have to stay at least with your wheels on the half of the curbing. Like I think if you go like too deep on the inside, like maybe if you go close to this edge, I would say, like when the curbing goes a bit lower, like I think this is the lower part of the curbing. Like if you go on the right side of this thing, I think it's too much. But I think it's already too much, too deep, even before going past this limit, I would say. So then if you manage to keep it like this, I think it's the absolute limit of the curbing. I don't know if they talk about it, but yeah, I guess they say that this is the track limit. But for me, I already got the slowdown just by going deep on the curbing anyway. So I would say that if you do not go more than what I'm doing right there. It's safe. But yeah, then you will see during the practice anyway. I guess during the practice you can do different testing about this curbing and try to take it a different way. Nothing to worry about the bouncing. Like anyway, the car is not having a huge steering angle and stuff, so you don't have to worry about the bouncing. Then you have the trade. It gives you a nice sabotage chance at the end of it. Basically for this one, just using the 400 board. So basically just the one which is on the fence, just using this. I think it's a bit before the 400-meter board though. I'm looking at it when I'm braking, but I think I'm using the grass. But the grass begins on the right side, just close to the curbing. I'm going on the brakes, quite a lot of braking on the at the beginning, but then as you can see, I'm just trying to keep about the margin I talked about at T1. As you can see, I'm just keeping maybe like 10, around 10-ish percent, I would say. And then when I'm going close to the grass, like when you have that sort of escape road, I don't know if it's a escape road, but it's a bit of runoff. Then when I'm approaching the second part of grass, then at that point I'm gonna turn in, dropping to second, just trying to find the rotation, and then early on power to find the rotation as well. Then I'm trying to keep a bit of a margin, not trying to stay all the way to the right, because then I need to prepare the S's, and also because if I'm too deep on the inside for this one, then I will compromise the left one, and right after this left one, you can see a bit like on the like just a bit later. Then for this one, I need to be tight on the exit of this one because I need to prepare the second, last corner, which is a right-hander. So basically, for this part, it's really about thinking about the next corner. So basically, if you only take this part corner by corner, it's not gonna work. You always have to think about the next ones. So basically, as you can see, just moving almost in the middle of the track, staying with third gear, just trying to stay close of the as using as much as I can of the curb. I think you can use just a bit of grass, but it's better to not because you can maybe get enough track, for example. Then, as you can see, just preparing for the left hander, just putting a little bit of brakes to not overshoot this one because, like I said, you have to stay tight on the exit. So just a bit of braking, then back on power in the middle of the curbing, and then just trying to stay tight on the exit of this one. And then, like I told you, then doing all of that and staying tight helps me to have a good exit for this one because it gets a bit tight on the exit of this one actually. So that's why, and also because I have to put more steering angle on the entry, but then it helps me to like just open the steering and put the throttle earlier. But yeah, that's pretty much the way you have to do those S's. And then just need to steer a bit, turning earlier, just trying to get this curbing right on the inside. Basically just try to avoid to put the left wheels on the right side of the this this thing, like it's a limit between the first part of the curbing and the second part. Just try to not run over this limit because then it gives you a slowdown, so it's better to avoid it. Obviously, I think it's pretty obvious to say that, but yeah, just in case, just try to not be too greedy on this one. And then, like I said, just this thing helps doing all of that. Just being tight on the exit of the last left of the S's helps me to, as you will see, going early on power. Just make everything right, and as you can see, I'm early on the full throttle, then using all of the curbing on the exit. So yeah, that's the way you have to do this one. Just be careful on the exit of this one because I think it's a bit of camber, but I'm not sure. I think it's a bit of camber when you exit the curbing. So then, as you can see, I'm on the TC. So just trying to manage with the steering to avoid that. I think it's just a bit for you, just about to be careful on the exit of this one and not just put fully on power because then you can get a bit of full spin. Then I'm trying to shorten the distance, just trying to run all the way on the curbing. And then at that point, when I'm leaving this, at that point, I'm already looking at the board, which is on the fence. I think it's 300, 200 or something. So then at that point, just going all the way on the left, going past the 300-meter boards, and then just before the 300, just going a bit on just going on the brakes, just a bit before. I think it's maybe 5 meter before the 300 boards. Going on the brakes, going heavily on the brakes because it's a big braking zone. Actually, you arrive with a lot of speed, but then quickly before the corner, I think it's like at just slightly after the 200-meter board, just turning in, putting second gear. I just avoid the curbing on the inside, just releasing the brakes to find the rotation early on power, and then for this one, I need to just basically aim a bit for a wide line for this one, so then it helps me for the exit of the last corner of the track. Well, it's not really it's the second last. Never mind, it's the second last. And as you can see, just trying to go a bit wide on the brakes. Same, not putting too much brakes because then I want to avoid ABS and I need to find the rotation, obviously, and also because I need to find some to keep some momentum. As you can see on the brakes, trying to use as much track as I can on the entry. I think I'll almost run a bit on the grass. Yeah, I did, but it's fine because I didn't lost any control of the car even by going on power, so it's fine. And then also because it helps me to not exit too wide, because if I exit too wide, I need to keep a lot of steering angle to stay all the way on the inside of the last corner of the track. And as you can see, early on power to find the rotation and the momentum. And then as you can see, this gives me the chance to go a bit wider, and then it helps me to get this last corner right without having to put too much steering angle. As you can see, just going a bit on the left, and then I'm getting the curbing the way I wanted. Just putting first gear into the corner, then just try to avoid the grass. That's why the second last corner is important, because then if you don't have the right line, if you are exiting too wide as well, the second last, then you will want to keep the momentum. But this means like you're gonna go too wide on the exit of this one, because you're gonna have to stay on the curbing, because then if you keep it flat but you want to go wider before entering the last corner, you're gonna go wide as well. So that's why it's important to really work on the exit of the second last, because then it gives you the line I'm showing you basically. And then it helps you to avoid the grass, because basically with the speed and the low wing configuration, I think we are a bit lower on the sorry on the wing. I think we are a bit lower on the downforce, and that's what I meant. So yeah, just that's why it's easy to get some understeer on this one as well. So yeah, just make sure you have a very nice exit on the second last, and then you should be fine for the last. And then for the last corner, I would advise maybe to have a bit wider exit when you arrive the straight, because then as you can see, it goes a bit downhill. So basically, it's a good speed. It's a good way to carry speed all the way to T1, because then if you for sure if you go like I'm not sure in any way that you can go all the way on the inside like this and all that line, because then it means you have to, like, if I need to lift if I want to make that line. If I stay flat out, anyway I cannot go that way. But in TCR, for example, I take the example of the TCR, but I think it's the truth for any cars. If you use that line, then for sure you're gonna gain some time, because you're gonna have a short distance. But then I think you're gonna lose all the way. You're gonna lose top speed if you lose that line, because then, like I told you, you will carry more speed through the wide line, and also the downhill section will help you actually to carry more speed through T1. So yeah, for me, in my opinion, the best line, if you have more than first, obviously you're gonna have to choose the chance to make the two lines. In this case, I don't only have the chance to just do the wide line. But then if you have the chance to make the two, I would advise to anyway keep the wide line, because then for me it's more worth it until T1 with the speed. So yeah, that was it for the lap around Indianapolis with the Porsche 718 GT4. Alright guys, that is for today for week 2 of the Falcon Sports Car Series. We were at Indianapolis with the 718 GT4. I hope you liked the video and you learned a bit from it as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Coach Dave channel, and also join the Discord server we have if you have any questions about the work we are making. And yeah, I see you for week 3. Bye bye.